Hey, everybody, welcome again to my podcast YouTube channel. It's been a few days, been a while since I haven't recorded, but today I have the pleasure of introducing y'all Caytie Langford. She's one of our members as well. And Caytie, I'll pass it over to you. If you could introduce yourself, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Thanks, Edgar. I'm Caytie Langford, and I am a full-time real estate investor and a motivational speaker. I like to say that I'm an accidental real estate investor. I would love to tell you that I had a very specific plan on getting into real estate, but the reality is, around my fifth anniversary with my husband, Shane, who is also a full-time real estate investor, he wanted to buy our first rental, and I wanted to go on an anniversary trip. He owned a business, and like many business owners, when they're still in that infancy, toddler stage of their business, he didn't think he could take off. He thought
Mm,
if he took off a week, things would fall apart, which is also a good way to understand if you have created a job for yourself or if you
right?
actually are building
Run
a
a
real
business.
business. Yeah, that was a long time ago. But so I made the agreement with him that if he bought a rental property for us, that we would also go on an anniversary trip. And that was in 2010. We bought our first rental. We also had a fabulous 7-day cruise in the Southern Caribbean and went to all these crazy islands. And since then, we've owned multiple properties, we've flipped properties, we've remodeled things. And then just earlier this year in 2023, we both had pivots in our businesses. He actually sold that original business.
Mm,
My business partner and I, we kind of saw ourselves going in different directions. And so we jumped into this full time, and it's been a crazy cool journey, and we're just scratching the surface and getting started.
that's so awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to learn, right, in the real estate industry. So many
Yeah.
different market drifts and market changes with a lot of uncertainty at different points. So yeah, we're just getting started, and I think there's lots of opportunities to come. Along with that, I know you mentioned earlier, right, how your husband started his own small business.
Yeah.
Usually, anytime you start a small business or you start a new adventure like real estate investing, right, there's certain uncertainty, right, that comes along with that. And I know
Oh,
you're a motivational
absolutely.
speaker. And could you help us understand how to overcome sometimes those struggles in our mind on those uncertainties, right? How do we prime our mind to overcome those type of situations?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we live in a risk reward society, but we also live in a, super quick satisfaction society. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. If you want sushi, you go on your phone, you order it, and within 30 minutes, it's delivered to your house. Like, you don't really have to do a lot of work.
Mm,
And yet, when you start anything, a new job, a new business, a new workout routine, when you really step up your game and say, I'm going to level up in some way,
mm,
the reality is imposter syndrome sneaks in.
mm,
Our egos, not many people know this, but there's a part of our brain that is designed to protect us, right? People know that. But our brain wants us to stay in what's called homeostasis. So our brain wants us to feel comfortable all the time. It doesn't want us to rock the boat. And so when we do something that's out of our norm, that's out of that comfort zone, if you will, um, our brain and our ego kind of freak out. And
mm.
our ego starts to say, no, 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 Edgar, you can't do that. I'm going to protect you. This is dangerous. This is scary. Now, this isn't dangerous in the same way that, thousands of years ago we were fighting off saber-toothed tigers, right? That's not the danger that we face. Um, but our brain doesn't realize that. And so imposter syndrome sneaks in. Our ego tells us you can't. Sometimes our ego tells us you're not worthy of this, right? Like, we have all these limiting beliefs depending on what we've been told our whole lives. But the truth is, if you're doing something scary, it's totally normal. It's not a big deal. Calm down. Um, And one of the things that I love to teach is this idea of confidence. Because what typically happens is we will say, once I feel confident, I will go do that hard thing.
Mm.
And that's just not the way that it works. Confidence is a muscle, and we've got to work it out so it can get stronger. The same way that we have to work out anything. Listen, the truth is, if sitting on your sofa gave everybody abs, Americans would be the healthiest freaking country in the globe. But that's just not the case, right? We got to get in
Mm.
the gym, we got to get out on the track, we got to, do the yoga, whatever those things are. And so confidence is the same way. We actually have to do the hard thing. And then once we've done the hard thing, our confidence builds. But the secret is, Edgar, we have been building our confidence muscles our entire lives. We just
Mm.
forget, right? Because we've moved on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. So our confidence, what happens is it slides over into the corner of the room.
Mm.
It starts gathering dust, it starts gathering cobwebs, and we forget about all of that stuff. And so when we're sitting here at the point of the new scary thing, right? Jumping into real estate,
Right.
not being an expert. Listen, I'm seeing my husband go through this right now. He was an expert in his business. He was the leader. He had done it for 20 years. He could do it in his sleep. Now all of a sudden, he is taking himself out of his comfort zone. And we had to do this exact exercise a couple of weeks ago because he
Mm.
had all this doubt and all this, like, I can't do this, you know, not that he didn't think he was smart enough. He's like, dude,
Sure.
I know I'm smart enough. But he was buying into the BS that sometimes our brains fill us full of.
Mm.
And so, what I like to teach is, and I actually have a tool called the confidence resume, Edgar, and we can give everybody the link to that they
Oh,
can
that'd be
download.
fabulous.
Like, I just want to get this in the hands of more people. But what we want to do is we want to pull out those experiences, those moments, those times in our lives where we did build our confidence, right? So I like to say, when were those times in your life where you absolutely crushed it? What
Right.
are those badass things you've accomplished? When are those times when you were terrified to do something, but you did it anyway?
Mm-hmm.
What are those times where you failed, right? And I call it a confidence resume because I want you to go through these questions and ask yourself and then write down all the answers. And it's a resume because it's something that continues to add on.
Yeah, to
And
build.
so, yeah. And so what you wind up having is this list, your actual social proof, the evidence of Edgar, the evidence of Edgar's life experience,
Mm-hmm.
moments is that says, yeah, no, I can do hard things because I've been doing them my whole life.
Right.
The other thing that's cool about it is you don't have to have anything on there that anybody else would have. So, like, for example, on mine, I have that I went snow skiing for the first time at the age of 29. Not only did I go snow skiing, Edgar, we went skiing in Whistler 3 weeks before the Vancouver Olympics were held there. So these mountains were ready for the elite of the elite of the elite, right? Um, Skiing is not my jam. I will never do it again. I don't need to. I hated it. I hated every second of it. But when I look at those pictures and I remind myself that I can do things out of my comfort zone. I can
Mm.
do things, at 29, picking up skiing, like you kind of want to teach your kids to ski because they're little and not afraid, right? Doing this when you're an adult can be scary. So thinking through those kinds of things, and those are just a couple of the tricks that I use and have used to teach thousands of people about how do you build your confidence. Because here's what I know, right? Even when we get to the place that we want to right now with our goals, like Like, what's your goal right now in real estate investing? Just share that with me for a minute.
Yeah, sure. So my goal, and I guess my short-term goal, just to acquire a little bit more revenue to
Okay.
eventually, leave the W-2 and then be able to
Yeah.
increase a rental portfolio either in single family or multifamily.
Yeah.
Um, those are some goals in mind, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
pick some
It's your
from
show.
your conversation because you hit a lot of things that have really resonated with. One of them was like, we are what we've been told, right? And sometimes our minds just don't let us think outside of our own paradigm shift that we've created, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
whatever we've been told, that's what we believe, and
Yeah.
breaking out of that, it takes a lot, right? And it takes a lot of being around people that can help you break out
Yes.
of those thoughts, right?
Yeah. The truth is that we have the thoughts in our head from when we were children of what we were told, right? So if our parents, our grandparents, our loved ones, our earliest teachers, right, if they tell us certain things, we believe it.
Hmm.
Um, I know, for example, my mom, my whole life, and I didn't even realize this until a couple weeks ago, she always just told me everything always works out for you. And so a couple of weeks ago, my husband and I were talking through a challenge of something that's going on with one of our properties. And I said, "Oh, well, everything always works out, you know?" And I realized it hit me. I heard my mom say that in my head. I'm 43 years old, and I was like, "Oh, my mom used to say that to me all the time." I sent my mom a text to tell her thank you so much for saying those things to me because
Hmm.
I believe it. But we also believe, right? If anybody who was supposed to love and protect us told us, "You're not smart enough. Be more
Right.
like your brother. Be more like your sister," right? Be nicer, right? Like whatever those things were. And so a lot of it also, I think, being an adult is about undoing the crap that we may have been told and asking
Sure.
ourselves, do we actually believe it? And do we want to believe it? Right? When it comes to real estate and money, I was taught from a very early age in my family what you do with money is you go to work, you earn it, you bring it home, you save it, and you put
Hmm.
it in things called certificates of deposit. You put your money in CDs. That's where you put your money. And so for years, that's what I thought, right? Going back to the first
Right.
time that Shane wanted to buy this house 13 years ago. And I'm like, whoa, 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 buddy. That is not a certificate of deposit. What are you talking about? So we have to undo that. And I think you were going to hit on this, so I want to hear more of this. What the best way to hit on this, the best way to start changing your mindset is getting in rooms where people think differently and they're like,
Right.
"No, you don't. You put your money in real estate." And then when you're around all those people all the time, you're like, "Oh, well, I put my money in real estate, right? Like that's what I do."
Yeah, that community, right? It's just so powerful when you
Yeah.
start meeting people that think in that resonate at that level that you haven't been around that. It's contagious, right? And it's like, yeah, that this is the right way. It's like Mandalorian. This is the way.
Yes.
A lot of people think, just this is the way, but it's not the truth. There's this saying that there's a thing that certain things are true, but it's not necessarily the truth, right?
Oh.
Yeah, Andy Andrews,
Edgar,
heard him say that, and it was
say
like,
that one more time for your audience because that's so good.
yeah, so it's like, the difference between something being true and being the truth, and when you think about it, it's like, yeah, it may be true, but it's not really the truth, yeah, because you put money in CDs, sure, is it going to give you a good return? No, right? So there's true to that, but it's not the truth to really build wealth.
Yeah.
And it was like
Yeah.
little things like that. Anytime I got stuck in that paradigm shift where I thought that was the way, I ask myself, is that really the truth? Do I need to seek more information? And
I
and,
love
and that
that.
has helped me so much in my journey. Um,
Yes.
and the other thing I wanted to touch on, because you mentioned, right, the confidence and the muscle, right,
Yeah.
and it's just so powerful. Like, think about it when we're babies, right, and we're trying to learn how to walk, right, and we fall
Yes.
so many times, and our parents don't tell us, well, you're never going to walk, just just give up.
Right. Right.
And when we're little, they keep telling us, they get us back up on our feet and just encourage us to keep walking. And that, I think, as a babies, we don't realize, but that builds so much confidence in us.
Yes. Yeah.
And relating to that as we're older now, and especially you're surrounded by the community, right? We make mistakes in real estate investing or in our businesses, but it's the same way, right? We have that people that can help us learn from those opportunities and figure out, hey, get back up on your feet. It's, to your point, it's going to work out. It's going to be okay.
Absolutely. Well, and let's take that a step further and go back to the baby analogy. Part of the challenge, right? Part of the great thing about being in a community is you have so many people to look up to. Part of the challenge of being in a community is we can get stuck in comparisonitis. We
Mm,
can start to question, well, why is it happening for them and not for me? What are they doing that I'm not doing? Well, that's not fair, right? Why is it
mm,
happening so much faster? Um, and I think we have to remember that we have to go back to being a baby. We have to go back to, and sometimes that one's a hard one because people are like, I don't remember that. One of the tricks that I always tell people when you're starting something new is to think of it in the same way that you started driving. Think
mm,
of that moment with whoever it that was the first person that sat you in a car and said, "We're going to teach you how to drive." For me, it was my grandmother. It was in the parking lot of the
mhm,
Town East Mall in Mesquite, Texas. And it was on a Sunday morning. No one was there. And I got to learn, right? And then think about where you were. What did you experience? What's that moment where you
mm,
first got to feel the gas under your foot and then the brake? Learning how to park that first time you actually were on a real street. Now, conversely, take that to some time that you drove this week. Maybe you went to the grocery store, you went to the office, you went to take the kids to school. You probably don't even remember it, right? There are times that we
yeah,
get in our car and we drive somewhere and you'll get there and you'll be like, damn, I don't even remember. Like, I was so in my head with something else because it's a habit now, right? You've been
right.
doing it for years and years and years. You've gone to those same places over and over and over. We forget when we're starting, we're the 15, 16, whatever, however old you were,
Mm,
that's learning to drive. And some people in our community, some people like Pace Morby, but even not Pace, right? We expect Pace to be, even the NASCAR driver or the F1
yeah.
driver. There are people who are doing it who are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years into this. They're getting in their car and they're driving to their kids' school and they're not thinking about it because they've done it so
Hmm.
much. We are still getting in the car, pulling our seatbelt over, turning on the car, moving, putting it into gear,
Mm,
starting it up, all those things. It's not a habit yet. And so the question is, are you going to be like, well, I'm just not good at this? Or are you going to say, no, it's just not habit yet? And the way that I get it to be a habit is I do the same thing over and over again, right? So if you're a wholesaler,
mm,
you get on the phone and you call agents or you call sellers, right?
right.
You go door knocking, you do your text campaign. If you raise money, like I raise money, even hearing this to myself, I got to get in front of more people. I got to give my private money presentation. I got to be talking more and more about
Mm.
what I can do to help other people build wealth. But it doesn't mean that I just say, well, I don't know how to do that, so I'm going to give up, right? Put yourself back in those moments where you were a beginner again. And also, how freaking cool is it that you decided that you would be a beginner?
Right.
So often people go through life and they don't want to be a beginner. They're like, no,
Mm.
man, I'm too old for that. No, man,
Yeah.
I've had the same career for 25 years. No, man, I'm 50. I can't start over. I'm looking at retirement, right? Just know that if you continue to do the same thing over and over, nothing will change. And
Sure.
for some people, that's exciting.
That's
That's the
okay.
life they
Yeah.
want to live. But for those of us who have said, you know what, I think there's something more out there. I think there's something greater that
There's a
I can
bigger
do, that
purpose.
I can,
Yeah.
there's a bigger purpose. Like, don't shy away from that.
Yeah.
Get to work, be uncomfortable, be the newbie. It's okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Be uncomfortable, be the newbie. It's okay. That's yeah.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
doesn't matter. Even as a kid, right? Because I think I have 5 boys, so I keep telling my
yeah,
oldest, when things get hard, treat it as a game, right? Everything in life should be a
yes,
game. You should enjoy it. It could be stressful because it could be complicated, but at the end of the day, you have to enjoy everything you're doing. And
yeah,
when you bring
yeah,
joy into this equation, it just helps your mind and it helps your body, right? Your spirit, everything. You're all in because you're enjoying the challenge.
yeah,
And if you start complaining and whining that the challenge is too hard, then you're approaching it completely wrong. So
yeah.
I tell my boys, I was like, enjoy the challenge. Imagine if you were playing your video game, right? And I don't even know what video games are playing nowadays, but
Oh,
I
no
was like,
clue.
when I played Mario, right? I was like trying to beat
Right.
Koopa, and I was like, I
Yes.
can't beat Koopa. How can I get past Koopa?
Yeah. Well, and I think that, it goes back to, if you want pizza, you can go on your phone, it's delivered in 30 minutes. We confuse we confuse easy and doing something that brings us joy,
Mm,
right? So when you're talking, what I love about this, and I love it for multiple reasons, because the other day I saw somebody, they were celebrating their birthday, and they're like, no, instead of saying I'm 43, they're saying I'm on level 43, right? I'm leveling up. And we know, right, from playing games, if you want to level up, there's always new challenges. There's always new things
mhm.
to beat. And so we've got to meet that challenge. But there's a difference in saying, I'm going to look at it as a challenge, and saying, well, it's just too hard. And I want things to be easy. Easy is sitting on your sofa, easy is Netflix. And listen, I love some Netflix. I love some television. I'm not
Yeah.
even going to lie and tell you that I don't watch it, because that would be crap. But I also will put myself out there in hard things. I also will
Mm,
challenge myself. And, one of the things that happened to me earlier this year, in January, is I woke up in the middle of the night, um, and my left arm was throbbing and my heart
mm,
was racing. I went to the bathroom, and, you women, we find heart attacks in our left arm. And I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been
oh my
to
God.
so many, American Heart Association Go Red for Women luncheons. I'm like, I'm having a heart attack. I wake my husband up in the middle of the night and I say, I'm having a heart attack. You have to call 911. Although there were a lot more F bombs and I was not that calm
Yeah.
when I said it. And the paramedics came. This is in the middle of the night. They hooked me up to the EKG, and they're like, ma'am, you're not having a heart attack, but you're in the middle of a massive panic attack. I'm like,
Oh,
that's weird. I've
wow.
had panic attacks before and I've never had one like this. So they said, we'll take you to the hospital or you can see your doctor in the morning. So, anyways, long story short, I go see my doctor. I'm diagnosed with a hyperthyroid. Well, one of the things in your hyperthyroid is that it actually, so your heart races constantly. So my resting heart rate was about 103,
Mm.
which is terrifying because you feel it constantly. I could see my body moving. And I lost about 18 pounds without even thinking.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and my anxiety was through the roof because of this until they got my meds right. And one of the things that I thought of all the time, Edgar, was that I was dying. And I mean, if I met someone and they were a medical professional, I'd be like, "Do you think I'm dying?" I was in weekly intense therapy trying to not only work with my doctors to get my mindset right, but I really thought I was dying, and I wasn't sleeping because I was terrified to go to sleep at night because I thought I would die in the middle of my sleep.
Mm.
And this went on for about 4 months. Um, and I tell you this story because I never really thought life was as precious as it was. And then we lost someone who was very, very special to us in April. So all this is happening with my body. Then we lose someone who's very close to my husband and I, and who was very young, only 27 years old. And I started thinking,
Oh,
oh my
wow.
gosh, like this is a gift. And so every night, even now, the first thing that I do when I get in bed is I thank God for the day. I thank the universe for the day. Um, and I say, if I am so lucky as to wake up in the morning, I will give it my all tomorrow. And the
Yeah.
first thing I do in the morning is I do the same thing. And so getting back to leveling up and these challenges, what I have realized is that this could be my last day. It
Right.
absolutely could. And so, am I living my purpose every day?
Mm.
Am I really trying? Am I trying to be the best version of myself? Or am I pressing the easy button, sliding into, just doing the easy, small, status quo
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
And I don't want to be around status quo people because I'm not that
Right.
person anymore. So I say all of that to just share with your audience, right? That if you are thinking in your mind, wow, yes, it's going to be hard to level up. Well, what's the alternative, right? Living the same
Yeah.
year over and over and calling it a good life? Boring.
Yeah.
No, man.
Yeah.
I want to slide into heaven and God look at me and be like, "You used everything I gave you. You used every
Right.
talent, you used every skill. You were afraid, and instead of getting down and saying you couldn't do it, you leaned on your confident moments from your past. You leaned on the faith and belief that it could happen. You surrounded yourself with people who encouraged you and built you up, and you freaking did it. And
You
that's what I
did.
want
Yeah.
for my life."
That's so powerful. Drop the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was so good. Those three things, right? Surrounding yourself with people, surrounding yourself with the confidence you've built in the past. Oh,
Yeah, and
Caytie.
utilizing your strengths.
Yeah.
Find out what you're really good at. Listen, I'm not good at numbers. I'm not good at spreadsheets. I'm really good at talking to an audience with a microphone in my hand. And I used to be terrified to say that because I was like, oh my gosh, who are you to say that? Why are
Mm.
you braggadocious? Why would you say that? Well, I say that because it's a gift that I've been given. And if I play small and don't use it, then I'm
Right.
not going to inspire, motivate, and impact the lives of the people that I'm supposed to do, that I'm supposed to inspire and motivate and impact. And that's
Right.
just not okay. Because again, I'm on level 43 and it gets harder and it gets harder.
Yeah.
And I'm going to continue to just level up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The other day I heard Gary Vee talk about if you want something inspirational, somebody asked him, hey, can you inspire me? And Gary Vee just looked them in the eyes and was like, you want to get inspired? He's like, yeah, you're going to die. What are you going to do to your point, this is we every second, every moment. We're so grateful to be here, and for not to take the opportunity to accomplish, you know,
Yeah.
the most out of us. Wow, what's our purpose if we're not doing the best we can with our
Yes.
families, with our community, with us, right? With how we interact with others. It's very
Yeah.
powerful.
And when you do look at the data and when you look at the science, when you understand the numbers, right? Like the fact that you are here on this planet, and I love Gary Vee because he talks about this. I can't even remember what the data is. We'll have to look and see. But it's like a 1 in 1 trillion chance that you
Yeah.
are on this planet. Like, if that doesn't inspire you that you are supposed to do something with your life, I don't know what it is. And listen, not everyone is supposed to change the world, right?
Mm, yeah.
Not everyone is going to be this mad genius, right? Sometimes your thing in life is to raise the child that might change the world, right? Sometimes your impact is going to be in your family or your small community. It might not be this global thing, but that doesn't mean it's any less worthy.
Yeah. Right.
That doesn't mean that you can ignore what your purpose is and what your calling is. And if you don't know what your purpose is and you don't know what your calling is, there's a couple of questions that you can ask yourself, right? One is, what do I love doing? The second is, who do I love doing it with? The third is, what really pisses me off in life? The fourth is, what did I want to be as a child? And the fifth and final is, if I could wave a magic wand and change one thing about our world, what would it be?
Mm,
And inside those five questions, if you take time to really get to know yourself, spend time, pen and paper by yourself, not a phone, not your computer, pen and paper, because our brains activate in a different place when we're writing things
when
down,
we're writing.
and you think through those five questions, I promise you that inside those five questions, you're going to find part of your purpose. And maybe you don't know it today. Keep spending time with those questions.
Right.
Maybe you won't figure it out for a year, 2, 5 years, but inside those questions, you will find it and you'll find where you're supposed to spend your time, your energy, and your talent.
Yeah, yeah, being intentional, right? Asking yourself those questions every time because it
Yes.
takes a while, right? We don't have the answer every time. I was telling my wife the other day, I was remembering how my coach when I was in college, my college soccer coach, he gave me a book, a John Wooden book. And you're in college and you're like, yeah, thanks, coach. You put it away. You don't, it's like,
Yeah.
okay. 20 years later, it's like I picked up that book, I had it there, and I started reading it, and it's like, oh my God, what was I
Yeah.
doing? You know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but when you surround your people with people that can help you at early stages, right, and constantly be intentional about developing yourself in
Yeah.
those different levels, that's where you could create big opportunities for yourself, right? It's never
Yeah.
too late, to your point earlier, right? It doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, 60, but if you get that head start earlier in life and you're able to surround yourself with the right people, you're going to have some huge opportunities ahead of you.
Yeah.
Because you're being intentional. If you ask those questions, because that resonated with, like, if you don't know what your purpose, if you don't know what your calling is, write those questions down, review them, every 3 months or every 4 months, whatever works for
Yes,
you, but
exactly.
intentionally be intentional about it. And you're going to find those little pieces to your puzzles to be, to create opportunities for yourself.
Yeah,
We could talk for hours. I'm so
I know.
passionate
My
about
whole
our
my
personal
whole
growth
thing was
journey.
it's it's so exciting, and I love that you brought up this idea of books. I'll probably so I'm a book person. I mean, I got stacks of them everywhere. It drives my husband crazy. There's stacks of them here. But you know what I love about a book? And here's the thing, I probably never need to buy another single book ever again. Because if I just reread the books that I already
Yeah.
have, right, to this point of leveling up, right, getting on the next level of the video game, the cheat codes I think are in the books that I have.
Hmm.
It just might be that 4 or 5 levels ago when I read it 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't
Yeah.
need to hear that. But if I
Absolutely.
go back and I read it now, to your point, right, 20 years later, 5 years later, 5 months later, you're like, damn, okay, I didn't need that time when I first read it, but now I do. Um, yeah. Ooh, I
Yeah.
love that. Edgar, I feel
Yeah.
like I'm gonna pick up
So
a book that I
powerful.
already have and start it over. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an excellent point right there. Yeah. Because certain, sometimes we're in different stages of our life that we don't resonate with that topic, but now we're at a different level and you reread it and it's like, oh my God, yeah, I can apply this way now in our
Yeah,
business or in our life. Yeah, I love it. Caytie,
absolutely.
I value your time so much. I'm super
Thanks,
grateful you
Edgar.
joined. I
You
learned
as
so much from
well.
you. Definitely look forward to connecting with you in the community and making some
Yeah.
opportunities for us. Caytie, I know I definitely want to touch on you said you are in real estate investing. You're actually a private money lender. So
Yeah.
how could people connect with you? You share a little bit about that.
So the best way to find me is on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram, but I'm not really as great at answering those messages. So, my role in our real estate investing company, Edgar, is around raising money for projects. And specifically, I raise money from women to invest in women owned and women led projects. Because
Mm,
one of the things that pisses me off in life is that women make less money. And it's something that I've been working on, whether I was leading teams and hiring women, when I was an executive coach, coaching them to negotiate their compensation. And now I'm fired up about using real estate as a tool. Only 31.6% of investors are women. So I've
mm,
decided I'm going to change that number and I'm going to find the people who can help me change that. So
that's
LinkedIn is the
awesome.
best way. I mean, obviously you can connect with me on the other two socials. But if you want to private message me on LinkedIn, I will definitely answer it there. And yeah, we lend out money and I also raise money. And so my goal, Edgar, is to create an ecosystem where we are raising money from women and putting it into women projects so that women continue to make money and grow their wealth together. And
So powerful.
that's where I'm headed. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm
It,
excited for your journey, your projects. I definitely need to let my wife know about you. She can connect with
yes.
you.
Yeah, and every Monday, if she's in Subto or Gator, every Monday at 4 p.m. Arizona time, I lead a ladies only call for
Sweet.
us to be able to get together. It's an accountability call, part education, part accountability, part just talking. Sometimes, like,
Yeah.
listen, the truth is, with those 5 boys, it's different for her than it is for you. Listen, sometimes men hate when I say that, but like
Oh no,
it's
yeah.
just different, you know?
Yeah,
And
I
so
tell her
sometimes,
she is my superwoman. She's everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I want to create a space where women, where super women, where they don't have to be superwoman, that they can be if they want to other women, but they can also be like, dude, I just need to come here and talk about how, like, I'm not even focused on my real estate investing business because I got to figure out what we're doing for Thanksgiving vacation, what we're doing over the
Mm,
December holidays. And oh, by the way, my husband's not worried about where all 5 of our children are going to be next summer for summer camp and this and that and all the things. These are the things that she's thinking about, as well as what's for dinner tonight, has the laundry been done, and all the other things. So yeah,
love it.
so I
Well,
create that space
I'll
for them.
definitely ask her to connect with you.
Yeah, I love it. And hey, Edgar, I just have to say this. Um, Thank you for following whatever it is that's inside of you that said, I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to have my W 2 and I'm going to do real estate. um, there's so many opportunities for people to have a W-2 and to do this. You obviously are carving out time. I know we talked about what are the days that you could even
Mhm.
get on with me to talk about this, but you're doing the hard things. And for people who want to know what it's like to do the hard things, they just need to come to you because you're showing and you're proving that it can be done. So
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you.
for doing that. And thank you for putting yourself out there in a way to even share this part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have to educate people as well. Like you're doing that above and beyond. And I'm excited. I can't wait to see where you're going to go in this real estate journey.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Caytie. Appreciate it. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
again, hey, everybody. I hope everybody took good notes. Caytie dropped a lot of gems, a lot of fire, a lot of knowledge. Y'all need definitely follow up. Women, please reach out to Caytie. She's definitely valuable, has a lot of gold in there to share. So, the confidence resume, we'll put it in the links. So, y'all can welcome to download it. But for now, catch y'all next time. And peace, everybody. Y'all be good.